is male or female. I apologize for that little break in there. As you may have realized or not, I cannot record screencasts that are longer than 15 minutes. So that means I need to work on my timing a little bit. So where we left off in the last screencast is that you can use descriptive analyses like comparing means or crosstabs to evaluate the clusters you've made. So what I highlighted earlier is that you can use this cluster analysis as part of a 3-step process. First, think really hard about what you want to segment on. Like these personas, what would be their most relevant and most important properties? You've measured those in your questionnaire, but you've also measured other things. Don't put everything into the cluster analysis. Put only the relevant things in. Like in our example, we used usage. That is important to segment on. Once you've done that, once you've created different segments with the Kmeans clustering algorithm, then you can use the information about who is in what cluster to do these descriptive analyses, and then just figure out what the properties are of these people. We've looked at and comparing means as a quick overview. We've looked at using crosstabs. So gender was one thing, but we can also look at maybe other parts of the usage. The more binary things. So do we see big differences here in whether or not people use the internet across these groups? And we can see that in our total package users, there are actually relatively few people who use the internet. Whereas in our persona number 2, we actually found out that and this is more like 50-50. This was a while back, so not everybody was using the internet then. Which explains these and the absolute score here. But yeah, these should always be evaluated as relative scores, so which group is the highest, and also as absolute numbers. What can we learn from this? Like, we've learned something today, and with this graph that adds to this persona number 4 that we already had a story about. It's the total package user, and they don't really use the internet that much. And the thing that may be tedious is that you're looking at 1, 2, 3, and 4 here all the time. A way to quickly fix that is just to go to your variable view and indicate here what the values are. So for instance, we said that number 4 was the total user, and then you would also go on for number 3 and number 2 and create labels there. So what does that look like now? If we add that and we run an analysis again, we get the following in our outputs. That one. Use electronic billing. Let's do that one. The 4 is replaced by our label, so it's more easy for us to identify which persona has which properties. Do the people in the total package group cluster actually use electronic billing? No, like 3/4 of them don't use electronic billing, so that's not really a part of their persona. So they use old paper billing. That's another part of the persona that you can add. And note that this is not part of the cluster analysis, but this is what you can use the cluster analysis for. Find the homogeneous groups based on usage and then look up other properties to allow you to identify them. Obviously, in this example, there are 4 clusters, which is a lot. It could be that in your own data set you only have 2 clusters or maybe just 1. Nevertheless, you should run this analysis to see if there are maybe 2 or 3 clusters in your data set. Otherwise, you're kind of missing out. And you can come to the conclusion that there's only one cluster. And you can just report what occurs most often for that cluster, and have certain criteria for that, like 2/3 or 3/4. If it's above 75%, I'm going to report that as a property of the persona. Alright, good luck with that. If you have any questions still about this analysis type, please come confer with me. Thank you for your attention. Again, good luck.